Any excuse for me to sleep in longer in the morning is an excuse I'm going to take. These sausage breakfast biscuits are the perfect grab-and-go breakfast option to save you time in the mornings. You can meal prep a boatload of them, pack them away in some Fresh and Save bags, and throw them in Snack City in your freezer for either breakfast or snack time. Here's how you make them. The recipe is going to start with prepping all of your vegetables first. If you're quick with a knife, you can do this step while the sausage cooks to save you some time, but if you're slow, you'll want to mise everything out. Take a half of a medium onion or 100 grams and cut it into a small dice. Next, wash and cut 2 medium-sized bell peppers, one red and one green, each weighing 150 grams. Cut these into a small dice to match the size of your onions. Once these are prepared, move on to the turkey breakfast sausage. I choose to make this myself to keep things more macro-friendly, but if you wanted to grab a tube of the pre-made stuff while you're doing your shopping, I won't call the police and have you arrested. Into a large bowl, add 1 pound or 454 grams of 93.7 ground turkey. To spice it up, you'll dump in 1 teaspoon or 6 grams of salt, then 1 teaspoon or 3 grams each of black pepper, garlic powder, onion powder, cayenne pepper, and paprika, 1 teaspoon or 2 grams of rubbed sage, 1 teaspoon or 1 gram of dried oregano, and 1 tablespoon or 12 grams of brown sugar. Then get your hands dirty and mix those seasonings into the meat until they have been evenly distributed throughout. You could use any kind of light colored ground meat you wanted to in this recipe. Turkey, pork, or chicken are the best choices. Next, add 1 tablespoon or 15 grams of oil into a skillet over medium heat and place your turkey sausage into the center. Spread it out across the surface of the pan for even cooking. Let it develop a little bit of color before you go breaking it up or flipping. The sugar in the meat will likely brown and even burn faster than the actual turkey will, so be sure not to let your pan get too hot. After a couple of minutes, you can turn the meat to the other side and start breaking up the sausage a bit. Continue cooking the turkey to develop color and bring it up to temperature. As it cooks, keep breaking it down into smaller pieces, and once it is finished, you can remove it from the skillet and set it aside so that you can start the vegetables. Add another 1 tablespoon or 15 grams of oil to the skillet and throw in the pepper and onion mixture. Give the vegetables a little bit of salt right after you add it to the pan so that it encourages the water to come out a bit quicker. You're going to cook these until most of the water has been cooked out of the peppers and the onions start to turn brown. If the peppers get undercooked and stay too watery, it can lead to a soggy biscuit later on. When the bottom of your skillet looks dry and the vegetables have finished, add the sausage back to the pan, cut the heat, and break down the sausage even more if needed. This mixture is going to be put into the filling of our biscuits. If your chunks of sausage are too large, it will take up too much space in the small biscuits and you won't get a cohesive bite. Place that skillet off to the side to cool, take a little juice box break, and then let's get started on our dough. Note that I use metric weights when I bake and write recipes. The volumetric measurements shown here will not be as accurate, so I strongly recommend using a digital scale. Into a large bowl, mix all of your dry ingredients, starting with 2 2/3 cups or 320 grams of oat flour. I use oat flour in this recipe for the little boost of fiber it provides and an easy gluten-free option for those who need it. You can make oat flour simply by placing oats into a high-powered blender. Then add 2 teaspoons or 8 grams of baking soda, 1.5 teaspoons or 9 grams of salt, 1.5 tablespoons or 18 grams of garlic powder, and 4 teaspoons or 4 grams of dried parsley. Mix the ingredients together to distribute them evenly and get rid of any clumps in the flour. In a separate bowl, mix together all of your wet ingredients. Crack in 4 eggs, 2 2/3 cups or 600 grams of plain non-fat Greek yogurt, and 2 cups or 226 grams of shredded cheese. Stir the contents together until the eggs are fully mixed in with the yogurt and cheese, and then you can pour the wet ingredients into the bowl with the dry guys and begin to stir them together to hydrate the dough. Stir this dough to the point where most of the flour has started to become hydrated before you add in the sausage and peppers. If you add it all together at the same time, you may get left with pockets of dry flour, so doing 80% of the mixing before you add in the fillings is a good idea. When most of the flour is incorporated, you can dump in the sausage and peppers and keep mixing until all of the ingredients are evenly distributed throughout. You don't have to worry about overworking the dough because there's no gluten in it, so you can stir to your heart's content. Once it's ready, you can grease up a few sheet pans with some oil or cooking spray and start to form the biscuits. The easiest and fastest way to do this is by using a cookie scoop. The one I'm using is a 1 ounce or roughly 30 gram scoop. It standardizes the size of the biscuit and it's much easier than having to fight the sticky dough with 2 spoons to form the biscuits into shape. If you don't have a cookie scoop and you want to make this recipe, I'd say it's worth buying one, especially if you plan to do a full batch. Scoop out the dough onto the sheet pan and allow 1 to 2 inches of space between each biscuit so they have some room to expand in the oven. These will get baked at 375 degrees Fahrenheit or 190 degrees Celsius for 15 to 17 minutes. I ended up getting 80 little biscuits out of this recipe and I needed 4 sheet pans to house them all. I baked them in 2 batches, so while the first one was in the oven, I filled up the remaining trays to save on some time. I've been the mayor of Snack City for almost 8 years now, so I've gathered quite the stockpile of cookware during that time. If you don't have enough sheet pans, you'll obviously need to wait until the used ones come out of the oven to recycle them for later batches. After their 15-minute trip in the heat, pull them from the oven and allow them to cool on the countertop. Take a spatula and slide it underneath each biscuit to release it from the sheet pan. After 15 minutes, these biscuits have a soft, pillowy top and a crispy, browned bottom. If you plan to eat these right away and you want them to be crispy on top, leave them in the oven for a few extra minutes. The air fryer will handle that for me upon reheating. Once all of the biscuits are done cooking and they are cooling on the counter, the next step is to freeze them uncovered so that they can become frozen solid to prepare for vacuum sealing. If you don't do this step, they'll get smushed by the vacuum pressure and you'll have one big biscuit ball instead of 80 individual ones. Each individual biscuit has about 50 calories with 3.4 grams of protein. I consolidate all of my biscuits onto one sheet pan to lay in my freezer. It doesn't matter if these are stacked up or in a single layer, either way is fine. After I consolidated onto a sheet pan, I decided they needed to be on a smaller one because I'm a slave to the YouTube algorithm and I know that all of your caveman brains are wired to where you're going to be more likely to click on a thumbnail where it looks like there's more food. I set this tray in the freezer overnight and came back to it the next morning, 12 or so hours later, and we have some rock solid biscuits ready to move into Snack City. As you veterans of this channel know, the Zwilling Fresh and Safe vacuum system is the vacuum sealer of choice in TMPM Nation. It allows you to easily open and close the bags and containers to pull out a snack-sized portion and still be able to reseal the bag after. I vacuum pack every snack I make for Snack City. There are options for zip-top bags or even vacuum sealing glass containers like this one here, which they call their fridge box. If you're going to spend the time and money to prepare a large amount of food for your freezer, you're probably going to want to make sure it stays fresh. Freezer burn is Snack City's #1 enemy, and improper storage that allows air and moisture to get at your food is what leads freezer burn to attack faster. Just about everything in my kitchen comes from Zwilling. They make awesome stuff, and if you're looking to get your hands on one of these Fresh and Safe starter sets, you can use the code MEALPREP at checkout for 10 extra medium bags for free to help keep your snacks fresh for up to 5 times longer. I will include a link to the product down below in the description for everybody who's interested. Thanks again to Zwilling for sponsoring this video. Now that the biscuits are tucked away safely, into Snack City they go where they can feed me at a moment's notice. When it comes time to reheat the biscuits, you could use the air fryer, the oven, or the microwave. My preference is to use the air fryer so that the tops get crispy and the center stays soft. I'll air fry them at 400 degrees Fahrenheit or 204 degrees Celsius for 5 to 10 minutes until they are thawed throughout and browned on top. How long you need to cook them will likely depend on the power of your air fryer and how many biscuits you're trying to shove in there at once. The more you are, the longer it will probably take, so just keep an eye on things. If I wanted a snack immediately, I'd reheat them in the microwave. Again, how many you reheat at once is going to impact how long you need to microwave them for, but they should be good to go in about 1 to 2 minutes. The microwave will make these soft. I find that they're best eaten after they've had a chance to cool down for a minute or two after being reheated so that they can firm up some. When they come out of the air fryer, you should have a crispy shell around the entire biscuit and a soft, bready interior. As I mentioned just a short time ago, each biscuit has about 50 calories, so you can eat however many you want to reach your desired caloric load. I decided to go with the small size for this recipe so that it was easier to hit as many different calorie targets as possible. These sausage breakfast biscuits are going to become a permanent resident of Snack City in my freezer. They are a wonderful addition for you to add to your mornings to help you save time and money. They aren't messy or hard to eat, making them perfect for on-the-go munching, and they can keep you from stopping at Starbucks to buy the expensive egg white bites on the way to work in the morning. The full written recipe is on my website, mealprepmanual.com, and that is linked down below in the description. Until next time, bye!